Hello and welcome to another video from the only channel you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today we're going to be talking about my bus. I've had a lot of subscribers asking, me to do some of my old prepper style videos. And I just keep telling them, well, my wife is taking care of that now. I don't really have time for it. I'm primarily concerned with Bible videos. But my wife's videos, since she doesn't know how to edit and she doesn't know how to upload, end up being my videos anyway. And then she's not really interested in making prepper videos. So pretty much, the kind of people that like my wife's videos can go watch that. But people that want to see things about prepping and surviving and sustainable living can watch my channel. First off, I don't consider myself a prepper or a survivalist, but I have always tried to live as sustainably as possible, and I've also always tried to be prepared. And that was kind of the premise for why I got this bus in the first place. I actually purchased this immediately after Hurricane Katrina because we lost everything. And I thought, wouldn't it have been nice if we'd had a school bus loaded up with fuel? We could have just put all our nice stuff in the bus, leave, and who cares if the house goes away. But this thing is 34 feet long, which makes it too long for me. It's not something I would want to travel in, but it is a nice size for living in. And 34 feet is like the limit on some jurisdictions as to what they'll let you drive without a commercial license. This bus is 9 feet tall. The National Highway Safety Commission or whatever allows people to drive up to 13 foot 6 inches because that's what'll clear underneath these overpasses. That gives me 4.5 feet of extra space on top. I can put anything I want. Now, I don't want, a 3 foot tall camper because that's not going to benefit me any. But a 4.5, if I have a pop-up that's 2 feet tall and it'll pop up to 8 feet, then that's good. And not only that, I can open the door and get out to, clean my solar panels or whatever I have to do. And I don't have to come out here and climb an external ladder. I can have it so that the ladder is inside of the bus. And I could even just cut out a hole over the cabinets and just step up on the cabinet and pull myself through to the pop-up part. But it'd be really cool to have a bug-out vehicle with a deer blind built into the roof that all I have to do if I go out into the woods is pop up my pop-up camper and sit up there with my rifle looking for a deer. I'm like, okay, well, we've already got the bus. The expenses, we've already spent the money we need to spend. We don't have to worry about spending any more money. We can park this thing, just take it on a trip maybe once every 3 months or so to make sure it's still running. Well, right after that, the battery started going bad. And, I think probably part of the reason it went bad is because I only had one in there. One was getting by, but you really need to have 3. There's a compartment that holds 3 batteries, and that's the batteries you use for the bus. And we were getting away with one. Well, they're $100 a piece, so $300, and I think you can get them for $75. So it's not like something that I could not overcome. When you're in poverty, you can still come up with $300 every now and then. But on the last trip I took, before the battery just went completely dead, we had a blowout. One of the tires blew out. And see, I've always worked around cars, so I understand a few things about vehicles. And I have changed tires many times, but I didn't know they had a different kind of tire. These were called split rims. Now, I had heard of split rims, and I knew they were dangerous. But here's the tires that I was talking about. And you see how it's got this odd setup on it with these nuts. I have absolutely no clue how all of that works. But they're on all the wheels, and, that's the stuff nobody wants to mess with. A tire man does not want to mess with that stuff, and plus you don't get these things for new for a cheap price. So a lot of people don't even want to mess with these, hence the cost. But for whatever reason, these wheels are really expensive, but you can get semi wheels relatively cheap because a lot of guys will go buy a semi truck and they decide shortly after getting the thing that they want the expensive aluminum rims to save on fuel, and they want the expensive tires to save on fuel. And so they just dump their tires and rims almost unused, sometimes completely unused. You can go to dealerships and they'll just have stacks of these things. I'm doing a little bit of research because I've come into a little money lately. And sure enough, semi wheels will fit on this bus. And the cool thing about it is those semi wheels are like 22.5 inches, and these are 20s. And so the people that I have found that have done this transition say that their buses go much faster and get better fuel economy. And what the reason for that, these are designed to carry kids in and out of neighborhoods. They're not designed for highway use. Whenever you see kids going on a van trip, they usually have a different kind of bus for that. You know, anything that goes over the road, it's a different bus. This one here, maxed out, is about 55. That's with the pedal to the metal. Very uncomfortable riding it that fast. But supposedly, with these other rims on, I should be able to go 60, which is going to be a big benefit. And, you know, if I get better fuel economy, that's win-win. Right now, the bus gets between 9 and 11. I think I've gotten 11 miles per gallon one time with it. And every other time, I think the worst I ever got was 7. And so, to get a little bit more out of this would be really nice. Now, the reason I really wasn't too concerned, when I finally realized that I couldn't afford to put tires, because not only is the cost of putting the tires on expensive, but you can't buy those good deal tires from semi-drivers that don't want them anymore. Tires for this bus were supposed to cost me $3,000 installed. And now I'm finding out I can get the better rims, the better tires, brand new, not retreads, but brand new, for $900. That's doable, and it's almost logical. And one of the things I've been wanting to do for a long time is to have the ability to invite guests over to my house, but I really didn't have any place to put them that I would be comfortable with. But hopefully I can get this thing nice and shiny, get all appliances working, get some nice furniture in there, and this could act as a guest house. This big pile of wood chips here used to be my second driveway, and there's no way I can move this by myself, but I think I can get a guy with a tractor to come up here for 75 bucks and spread all this out. I'm going to just spread it all the way down the drive. I wanted to get a little bit more organic material out here, so when they were chopping trees down on my road and mulching them, I was letting them dump them here. But this would be a good spot for the bus because it won't be too far of a reach for an extension cord and a water hose. And it'll allow me to be able to work on the bus a lot more conveniently, so I don't have to be walking a mile every time I want to cut a piece of wood or something. Alright, now that we're inside the bus, before I give you the grand tour and tell you what I plan on doing in here, I'm going to tell you where I came up with this extra cash that I'm talking about. I've been diagnosed with diabetes for probably 16 years now, and so I really cut back on the things I ate. You know, I was counting carbohydrates and stuff. And as a prepper, I always keep a year's worth of groceries up in the house. But as a diabetic, most of that stuff is off limits. So I've been eating things that are good for diabetes, but I haven't been eating the things that are not good for diabetes, which, yeah, that makes sense. But see, even though my diabetes has progressed, it's not as bad as most people. And I guess just because I'm not obese, and I do try to keep as active as possible, and I do make a point of eating healthy. But what I've decided is that since all of this stuff I'm not supposed to eat is rusting away, and I'm not the kind of person to throw food away, I am forcing myself to eat all of that stuff I'm not supposed to eat. But the way I'm doing it is a little bit of a time, because I have, say every month, 3 or 4 times a month, I go to the store and I'll get lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, just a whole bunch of vegetables to incorporate into my diet. But I sneak in like a can of canned corn, which is off limits, sneak in some mac and cheese, sneak in, you know, potatoes, canned potatoes. And the plan is that over the course of the next year to completely empty both of my refrigerators, all of my cabinets, and then go down with a clean slate and buy as much stockpilable food as possible that's diabetes friendly. And there are ways to do that. One of the side benefits is that I've been spending probably $500 a month on groceries. And now all of a sudden I'm not spending anything on groceries, because even though, say, 50 bucks a month I'm spending on salad items, is covered by EBT. So it's nothing out of pocket. Well, my bank account is getting really, really fat. So now all of a sudden I feel like I'm empowered to do something. I've kind of walked around and taken a good look at what all needs to be done around the house. You know, we need repairs on the house. This needs to be repaired. The yard needs to be trimmed. Trees need to be pruned. But currently, as far as projects go, this one here is kind of taking priority because I really would like to have a place where people could stay while they're visiting here, and that way I may be able to get some people who are subscribers to come stay with me and help me with some of these other things I've got going on, because I'm severely limited. And in fact, a lot of what's going to happen on this bus I can't do. When I get in here and start working, I think I can handle this. I took just a little earlier, you know, the roof is looking terrible, ceiling. But I took some cleaner and sprayed just to see if it would still come out shiny. And sure enough, that spot right there is really, didn't take long. It was very easy to clean. But I'm certainly not going to use a spray bottle and towels because it would take 100 rolls of paper towels to do this. And there's not a whole lot of electronics in here. I think mostly the only thing that's electrical is up here in the dash. And then we have a couple of wires running through these edges up here for these lights. Now I've already done most of the work because when we first got this thing ready and took it down the road, I had already put in these cabinets and stuff. These lights, I drilled a little hole next to each one, took the light out and rewired them so that instead of just one switch turning all the lights in the bus on, one switch turns the power on to all the lights, and then you manually go and turn each individual light on. You know, if you're out there running off a battery or running off a solar at night and you want to light, you don't need to light the whole bus up to read a book. You can be back there in the bed with one light on. All the rest of them can be off. Now I guess I'll give you the grand tour of everything. Now when you come into the bus, it's got these scissors type doors. Regular school bus doors with that little handle over there, and I would rather have that. That's preferable to me because I think it looks cool. But the problem we're having is that there's rust down here. The step is probably, if anything goes, it'll be that, but it just feels like it's kind of needs some support. And I really can't just put a wooden floor up over the top of that because that door won't open. If you have anything in the way, it won't open. But if I get rid of the door, I can actually build a little wooden step here. It'll be pretty much permanent, at least for the rest of my life. It'll be there, pressure treated lumber. But I have to change the door out. This is 33 inches wide, which it's easy to get an exterior door. It's 33 inches wide. In fact, every time I go to the flea market, there's a guy somewhere selling old antique house doors, and they kind of look cool. So I'll probably go ahead and put a new floor right there, wooden floor, pressure treated floor, and put regular house door on there. And another reason that a lot of people do that is because there's really no way to lock a school bus door inside and out. So you've got the choice of one or the other. And if you have a regular house door, you can have a regular house doorknob and lock set, and it just makes that particular thing easier. Now as we come in, I've took these two seats out of a van. In fact, as right after the hurricane, there was a van that had been buried under salt water. Brand new van. And the guy gave me these seats, and I think he gave them to me for $100, $150. And I got the two back seats as well. But I think those are going to have to go. In fact, all of them are probably going to go, even though I've hardly gotten any use out of them. There's a couple of dead spiders in a web. We get back here. We got the cabinets, and the stove works perfect. The sink works perfect. Where this is going, I think I'm going to go ahead and get some solar panels for this bus, and if I do, I want to build a box right here. What I'll probably do is get rid of this seat and put a hospital bed there. You know, I love my hospital bed. If I'm driving this thing somewhere, I'm going to need a hospital bed. I can put the hospital bed on top of the battery box and actually leave it open at this end where you can get to all of the charge controllers and such. And at the other end, have it sealed off for batteries. I think 4 house batteries would be good. Maybe 4 solar panels. And a hospital bed right there. Now, A hospital bed will not fit in that space. Even if I get rid of the seat and the bracket, mounting bracket, it won't fit. But I left this gap in here for these tables. I think I'll just get rid of those tables, take the countertop off, push the cabinets over and remount them and cut the countertop down. And I think that that hospital bed will fit there perfectly. Now on the other side, I want them to be the same. And you know, actually when I did this, I had these cabinets custom built because if you ever look at an RV from a school bus, the cabinets are normal height, which means that the cabinets are taller than the window. They block half the window out. And I didn't really like that. I wanted the cabinets to come up right up to the edge of the window. And I wanted them to end at the corner of the window. And that's why the countertop is that size. But I think this gap here, instead of closing it, I'll get another countertop and I'll open that gap and put a fridge in there. Because I think now that with solar panels and solar batteries being so efficient, you can actually run a refrigerator off of solar, even with as few as 4 panels and 4 batteries. Over here, of course, there's not going to be as much room, and I'm going to take that seat out as well. I'll probably get a recliner to put there because during the day when I'm sitting, I really need a recliner where I do my video editing and stuff, browse the web, whatever. I don't know if you noticed earlier when we were inside, but this here is window tint that's peeling off. I tinted all of the windows in the bus, which is kind of logical actually. But I used cheap window tint and the sun is making it peel. But I thought it would be a nightmare to remove that. It's probably just going to be a good day's worth of work. I don't even think I'll have to use any kind of chemicals or heat. Just scrape it off with a razor knife because it's just barely hanging in there. Now one of the things that I may end up getting some help with is paint job. I mean the paint comes out nice and clean. You know, I can take it and clean the bus and look professional looking, kind of. But it's not really my style. I was thinking of hiring some graffiti artists to come out here. So if you're a subscriber and you would love to be one of the people who puts the graffiti on this bus, just let me know and we'll work something out. I'll buy you 5-10 gallons of spray paint and you can come out here and paint to your heart's content. Now as we come back, I've got a tub here and it works. It's a nice little tub, nice size tub, although I don't think I would want to be taking full-size baths. Mostly would just be taking showers, but there's a little connector on top of there for a shower head. And on the other side I've got a heater and a medicine cabinet and a toilet, but that toilet is pretty much shot. It was shot when I got it. It's been sitting here probably 10 years since I purchased it. I'm sure that nothing on it works. But the hole is there. I can get a toilet to put there, or I may actually seal that up and just get what they call a cassette toilet, or maybe even get a composting toilet. So that's still going to be my toilet area, and that's still going to be my bathtub area. Now it may be that the toilet area will get converted into some kind of closet, and I'll just store the toilet there, because cassette toilets are not permanently mounted. They just kind of fit in a drawer. So I could actually use this as storage space, and if I need a toilet, just drag it out. Most people I know that have RVs, they use other people's restrooms, like rest centers and rest stops and stuff, or the woods. But anyways, this is a bed. I think that's a full-size bed, just the size of below a queen. It may be a queen, but and I've mounted. You know, I've run extra wires back here, and I've mounted these 2 fans there for ceiling fans. So that, you know, that's, and you know, when I built this, I really wanted to build it to last forever, and there's no real leaks in here. And you can tell that because all of the stuff that I put in, like this carpet that I glued to the wall, is still glued to the wall, and you know, and to the ceiling. I've got carpet glued to the ceiling, and there's no real water stains up there. So I don't think it's leaking. I got a busted window, and I think that's probably from mowing my grass, because I don't know of any other way that could have happened. But I think I've got 3 panes of glass that I saved whenever I was doing this. You know, some of these windows, I felt like in the bathroom we didn't really need windows. So I replaced them with some plastic sheets. Okay, that's about it. I don't know that I'm going to do anything. I was going to take and put my bed and my recliner back there in that little room, but the water tanks for the bus are mounted underneath the bed. In fact, let me show you that, if you can see it. Oh, and this has got 100 screws holding this bit of framing down so that we shouldn't have a problem with the water tanks breaking loose. There's two 35-gallon tanks under there, and this is like a little storage area. See, the tanks are way back. But I've got, if you notice it, like on the sides, it's separated. The tanks are only as wide as that. This side over here is more storage area. So all the way down both sides of the bed are storage. It doesn't look like there's any place to store anything in here, but this is my bus. I don't need a suit, and I don't need a bunch of different fashions. You know, I think I own 2 pairs of long pants, 2 pairs of shorts, maybe 4 t-shirts, you know, maybe 8 or 9 pairs of underwear, socks. I don't stockpile clothing. You know, my closet, all the stuff that's in my closet that I don't ever wear is something that somebody somewhere gave to me because they know I'm poor. And I don't see myself carrying that around with me if I'm traveling. You know, it's all right to have a house full of junk you don't use, but you don't want to have an RV full of junk you don't use. Now, one of the things I was thinking about, you know, they make these seats for RVs that are actually a little bit fancier than this. They actually swivel and recline, but I don't know if I can get away with that in here. If my driver's seat can be converted to one of those RV recliner seats, I'm thinking I may have to remove this box, which isn't going to be too easy because that bottom part is the heater coil, you know, that heats the front of the bus. And that might not be easy to remove. But, you know, even if I do, I've got to figure out a way, because that really is the working electrical panel for this bus. It's got all the lights and fans and all that stuff is on those switches. Although I may somehow figure out some other way to do that. I don't know. But in any case, hopefully I can just get a little recliner to fit there and work with that in the way. Now over here, even if I put the fridge in, we're still going to have a considerable amount of space here. I think what would be the most comfortable, which is the way it's supposed to work, is I'll get rid of this passenger seat. I don't need that there because it only serves one purpose, and that's for riding down the road. A person could be sitting in a passenger seat right here facing forward and riding down the road just as easily, and it would open up this area where the steps are, make it more comfortable to get in here. Now, another thing I was thinking about, I don't know that I would ever have a problem with storage, but if I did, there are a lot of places where this interior panels are screwed into the frame. I think, you know, I don't see any reason why I couldn't just build brackets that can be held by those screws. And, you know, you can put stuff up there like Cheerios and potato chips, maybe pillows, blankets, that kind of stuff. They got screws running all the way down, you know, every couple of that's like 8 inches apart. Well, that's about it for this video. I don't know how long it'll take me to get this done. I know that when I bought the bus, nothing on it worked. Nothing. The windshield wipers, none of the lights, stop lights, nothing. I drove this thing from Florida to my house on 150 miles with no electrical system in it, and hoping that no cop would pull me over, and none did. But anyway, even if nothing works again, I still have the know-how to fix it. If I have the ability to fix it, I don't know, but I think I do. And you know, it's win-win. Guest house, bug-out vehicle, RV, deer blind. You know, it's going to serve a lot of purposes, and plus right now it's just sitting here. I've already owned the vehicle, so the cost of fixing this is probably not going to be any more than the cost of fixing any other RV, and then all the other things can just be added later, like solar panels and a pop-up camper on the roof. Oh well, if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.